What are you doing, Mitchell? Do you think she'll ever find out? Isn't this exciting? That voice. My heart faltered at the sound of it. I had come home early, feeling uneasy for reasons I couldn't explain. Now, standing in the hallway, I could hear laughter and clinking glasses coming from the living room. Cautiously stepping forward, I peeked through the slightly ajar door. My husband Mitchell, my best friend Natalie, and my mother Donna were all sitting there, a half-empty bottle of wine on the table, surrounded by an aura of infectious joy. Mitchell's arm was around Natalie, and my mother was sitting so close to him, their knees almost touching. What's so funny? I stepped into the room, my voice heavier than I intended. The laughter died. They looked at me, stunned, eyes wide with guilt. Donna was the first to speak, masking her surprise with a too bright smile. Casey, you're home early. We were just catching up. Obviously, I said, my eyes narrowing. What's the occasion? Natalie, twirling the wineglass, tried to play it off. Just a casual get-together. We've been missing you. I scrutinized their expressions, the forced ease and underlying tension. My stomach churned. Missing me? Since when? Mitchell rose from the couch, walking towards me with an easy smile that no longer reassured me. Hey, babe, you okay? You look pale. Ignoring his concern, I focused on their little setup. So, what's this intimate gathering about? Something you wanted to share? Donna set her glass down, her hand trembling slightly. You're reading too much into it, darling. Relax. I was anything but relaxed. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. Really? Because from here it looks like a private party I wasn't invited to. A flicker of something, guilt, perhaps, flashed in Mitchell's eyes, but he quickly smothered it with a laugh. Casey, come on, it's not like that. We just needed to unwind a bit. Natalie nodded, but her agreement felt hollow, like an echo in a vast, empty space. Yeah, we just needed a break, you know? Everything's been stressful for everyone. I looked at my husband, my best friend, and my mother, feeling the walls closing in, the air heavy with deceit. Of course, I said, though I didn't believe a word. I stood there, feeling shattered but determined not to expose my hurt. Well, don't let me interrupt your good time. I turned and walked away, my steps determined, my fists clenched tight. In the quiet of the hallway, their laughter resumed. But it sounded different now, forced, like a brittle shell hiding the rot beneath. I'd witnessed enough to know something was terribly wrong. Beneath my calm exterior, the reality of their betrayal burned, each laugh and every whisper like a blade slicing through my skin. In that moment, I knew. This was just the beginning. I had to uncover the full extent of their deception. The laughter sounded different now. It haunted me as I climbed the stairs, each step feeling like I was dragging a boulder. I pushed open the door to my bedroom and collapsed onto the bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to piece together the fragments of my unraveling life. A flood of memories hit me. Growing up, it was just Mom and me. We were so close. Even now, her betrayal stung like a fresh wound. I remembered how she would hold my hand, telling me everything would be okay when things were tough. All lies now. Pushing the painful thoughts aside, I focused on my career. It had always been my escape, the one place where I felt in control. I'd worked hard for years, climbing the corporate ladder. All the late nights, the missed family dinners. Mitchell had supported me through it all, or so I thought. Now it seemed like it had given him time to form his twisted trinity. A faint knock on the door pulled me back to reality. Casey, can we talk? Mitchell's voice was on the other side. I clenched my teeth, forcing myself to stay calm. I opened the door. What do you want? He looked uncomfortable, scratching the back of his neck. I noticed you weren't yourself downstairs. Are you okay? I don't know, Mitchell. You tell me. My voice was cold, distant. He stepped closer, reaching out, but I stepped back. Casey, please, you're overreacting. Nothing's going on. Overreacting? The word bounced around in my head. Is that how you see it? Just friends hanging out, right? He sighed, frustration creeping into his tone. Yes, that's all it is. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. I laughed, a bitter sound. Bigger than it needs to be? My husband, my best friend, and my mother hiding things from me. Yeah, I must be crazy. Before he could respond, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Natalie. Hey, can we talk? I think there's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. They really thought they could brush this under the rug. Mitchell was watching, sensing the shift in my mood. Natalie wants to talk. I guess it's time for a group therapy session, huh? His face paled. Casey, don't do this. Ignoring him, I walked past, heading back to the living room. Donna and Natalie looked up as I entered, sensing the storm approaching. Natalie, you wanted to talk. Let's clear this up right now. Natalie stood hesitant. Casey, we're just friends. You came in at the wrong time. Donna nodded, her eyes pleading. Darling, please, it's not what you think. I took a deep breath, gathering every ounce of strength. Enough. I'm not blind. I hear things. I see things. How long will you keep lying to my face? The silence that followed was heavy, filled with unspoken truths. The tight thread holding my life together was unraveling fast. One thing was clear. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was the beginning of a battle, and I wasn't backing down. The air in the living room was stifling. I felt everyone's eyes on me, searching for a crack in my resolve, but I stood firm. Natalie, I said, my voice cold and steady, if it's all innocent, why don't you explain the odd messages, the secret meetings? Natalie shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting toward Mitchell and Donna. Casey, it's not a big deal. We've just been close lately, that's all. Close? I spat the word back at her. How close exactly? Her silence was damning. Mitchell stepped in, his tone a mix of annoyance and desperation. You're being paranoid. There's nothing going on. We're friends, that's it. I shook my head, anger bubbling over. Friends don't hide things. Friends don't act like this behind someone's back. Donna tried to soften the blow, reaching out to me. Honey, you're working so hard. We just wanted to make sure you had support, people to lean on. My mother's attempt at justification pushed me over the edge. Support? By excluding and lying to me? That's how you support me? Thus, I could see Mitchell's patience wearing thin. We didn't want to bother you with every little thing, Casey. You're always busy. Busy. Right, I said, nodding, letting the word hang in the air. So busy that I missed the signs, the little things that didn't add up. Mitchell's frustration spilled out. This isn't what you think it is. Why can't you just accept that we were trying to make things easier for you? Easier? I laughed bitterly. By making me feel like an outsider in my own life? Natalie, her voice shaky, tried to interject. Casey, please, we never meant to hurt you. Never meant to hurt me. Then why does it feel like you've stabbed me in the back? I could barely control the tremor in my voice. I gave my life to this family. I trusted you all. Donna's eyes filled with tears, but I had no sympathy left. All right, you've made your point, she said quietly, but let's not blow this out of proportion. Out of proportion? I let out a breath of pure disbelief. You've been hiding something huge from me, and you want to downplay it? Hannah's small voice drifted from the hallway. Mommy, what's going on? I turned to see my daughter, her innocent eyes wide with worry. My heart ached, but I forced a smile. Nothing, sweetie. Just grown-up talk. As Hannah shuffled back to her room, I looked at the three of them, a husband, a best friend, and a mother who had conspired to keep me in the dark. I'm done with this conversation, I declared, my voice firm. You think I'm overreacting? Fine, but I'm not done digging. With that, I left the room, the bitter taste of betrayal thick in my mouth. Whatever was going on, I was going to find out, and there would be a reckoning. The tension in the house thickened each day. I couldn't look at Mitchell, Natalie, or Donna without feeling a surge of anger. Hannah noticed my distraction but was too young to understand. Meanwhile, the odd behaviors were piling up, one by one, painting an increasingly sinister picture. It started with the phone calls. Whenever I walked into the room, Donna would end her conversation abruptly. Just catching up with an old friend, she'd say, smiling too brightly. Then there were the glances between Mitchell and Natalie. They exchanged looks that felt like silent agreements, words left unspoken, connected by something I wasn't part of. Late-night meetings, whispers in the kitchen, flipping their phones upside down, every small action screamed secrecy. One evening, I caught a glimpse of a flirtatious text on Mitchell's phone before he quickly locked the screen. My stomach turned, but I stayed calm. Who's that? I asked, keeping my voice light. Just a work thing, he replied, too quickly. My suspicion solidified. I needed more than snippets and gut feelings. I needed undeniable proof. I began paying closer attention. Mitchell's car parked at odd places, Donna's slips about where she'd been, and Natalie's vague explanations about her whereabouts, all clues leading to a single horrific conclusion. They were seeing each other behind my back, As I mentally connected the dots, I confronted them. I gathered Mitchell, Natalie, and Donna in the living room, the same place where my world had started unraveling. "We need to talk." "Seriously," I said, my voice leaving no room for argument. They exchanged nervous glances. Donna tried to play it cool. "What's this about, darling?" "No more lies," I demanded. "I know something's been going on. I want the truth." Mitchell looked to the floor, unable to meet my gaze. Natalie's face flushed red. Donna took a deep breath, finally breaking the silence. "All right, Casey, you want the truth? Here it is." A coldness swept over me as she continued. "We've been involved, all of us, in a relationship together. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck." "A relationship? You mean like an affair? All of you?" Donna nodded. "We didn't mean for it to happen this way, but yes, we've been involved. Polyamorous." Mitchell finally looked up, guilt and relief mingling in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Casey. We didn't know how to tell you. We didn't want to hurt you." Natalie added quickly, "We didn't choose this to hurt you, Casey. It just happened." I stared at them, the reality of their betrayal sinking in. "Hurt me? You think saying that in such a calm tone makes it any less painful?" The facade of my normal life shattered. I felt anger, betrayal, and shock battling within me, but beneath it all, a fierce determination rose. I looked each of them in the eye, a final resolve hardening in my voice. "This is not over. You will regret every bit of this." Their expressions twisted in a mix of fear and uncertainty. They should be scared. I turned and left, my mind racing with plans. My revenge was just beginning. Silence engulfed the room after I walked out. The raw mix of emotions inside me was hard to contain, but I knew I had to stay focused. After a while, I went to Hannah's room and quietly sat by her bed, watching her sleep, her breath even and calm, a soothing contrast to the storm I faced. The next morning, I called my sister Erin. "Can I come over? It's urgent," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Of course, Casey. What's going on?" she asked, concern coloring her tone. "It's complicated. I'll explain when I get there." I hung up, packed a small bag, and gently woke Hannah. "We're going on a little trip to Aunt Erin's, okay?" Hannah's eyes lit up. "Yay! Can we have pancakes for breakfast there?" I forced a smile. "Absolutely." Leaving Mitchell, Donna, and Natalie behind felt like shedding a skin. I drove with a clear purpose, needing the support Erin always provided. When I arrived at Erin's place, she greeted me with a warm hug, instantly knowing something was really wrong. "What happened?" she asked gently as we settled on her couch. "They've been involved. Mitchell, Natalie, and Mom. Behind my back," I managed to say, feeling the sting as fresh as when I discovered the truth. Erin's eyes widened in shock. "What? How could they? I can't believe this." Anger flashed across her face. "You don't deserve this, Casey. I need your help." "I have to protect Hannah and figure out my next steps," I said, my voice steadying with resolve. Erin nodded immediately. "You know I'm with you. Whatever you need." Our first move was to meet with a lawyer. I planned to pursue legal separation from Mitchell and ensure Hannah's custody arrangements protected her from the toxicity. Erin stayed with Hannah to keep things normal for her while I focused on dismantling the life that had become a lie. Later, when I went to pick up Hannah, I faced Mitchell. His eyes were filled with a mix of regret and helplessness. "Casey, can we talk, please?" I looked at him, my voice icy. "There's nothing left to talk about, Mitchell. I've contacted a lawyer. This is over." He looked down, defeated. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Well, you did, and now there are consequences," I replied, turning away to leave. Back at Erin's, my father Robert stopped by. Erin must have told him something, judging by the stern look on his face. "Casey, what's going on?" he asked. The kitchen felt smaller with their expressions bearing down on me. "Mitchell, Natalie, and Mom, they've been in some twisted relationship behind my back." "Donna, too?" Robert asked, his voice a mix of shock and disappointment. I knew she could be selfish, but she did it. "And now I'm going to make sure they realize just how big a mistake it was," I said firmly. Robert reached out, placing a supportive hand on my shoulder. "You will get through this, Casey. We will help you." Looking at Robert and Erin's determined faces, I felt a surge of strength. I wasn't alone in this. With every step, I grew more resolved to cut these toxic ties and protect Hannah from the fallout. Mitchell, Natalie, and Donna thought I was just hurt. They had no idea what was coming their way. Erin's house became our sanctuary. Hannah adjusted to the change with the resilience only a child could muster, soothed by the presence of her doting aunt and stern but loving grandfather. Meanwhile, I threw myself into the legal proceedings. My lawyer, Denise, was a tough woman who didn't mince words. "We need to file for custody and get a restraining order if necessary," Denise said during our first meeting. "Protecting Hannah should be our #1 priority." I nodded. "I can't let her be around them. Not after what they've done. Yes, every detail matters. Keep it professional, but don't hold back anything relevant." Mitchell's response to the legal notice didn't take long. He was furious, calling and texting relentlessly. When we finally met in mediation, his eyes bore holes into mine. "This is ridiculous, Casey. We can work this out without dragging Hannah into it," he argued. "No, Mitchell, you lost that chance the moment you betrayed me," I shot back. His betrayal felt like an abyss between us, impossible to bridge. Our argument escalated until Denise intervened. "Let's keep it civil. We're here for Hannah's best interests." Mitchell fumed but didn't argue further. His lawyer tugged at his sleeve, signaling it was time to dial it down. But I knew the simmering rage and desperation hiding behind his calm facade. The scandal spread quickly through our community. Neighbors whispered behind their hands. Social media buzzed with speculation. One day, dropping Hannah off at school, I overheard a couple of parents. "Did you hear about Casey's husband? Cheated on her with her best friend and her mother. Can you imagine?" I stiffened but walked on, head held high. This wasn't my shame to bear. But the public fallout hit its peak when Sam, Natalie's husband, stormed into the lawyer's office one day. His face was a mask of fury. "Casey, is it true? Natalie and Mitchell?" he demanded. "Yes," I said simply, meeting his gaze. "It's all true." Sam's face twisted with rage and hurt. "I knew something was off. I'm filing for divorce. She won't see a penny from me." His anger was a stark reflection of mine, and I felt a grim satisfaction knowing Natalie would face consequences beyond what I could enact. As the weeks went by, our strategy paid off. The court granted me full custody of Hannah, and Mitchell was ordered to pay alimony and child support. Publicly, the scandal wreaked havoc on his reputation. Donna found herself the target of disdain from her social circles. I never thought she'd go that low. I heard someone say at the grocery store, it was a small satisfaction, but satisfying nonetheless. Natalie, on the other hand, was dealing with Sam's impending divorce suit, a messy, ugly affair. Her once shimmering life was disintegrating. Through it all, Aaron and Robert stayed by my side, helping me rebuild. Their steadfast support was my lifeline. As the dust began to settle, Mitchell approached me one last time. His face was drawn, his eyes hollow. "Casey, is there any way we can start over?" I looked at him, the man who had once been my world, now alien to me. "No, Mitchell, we're done. You need to live with the choices you made. Hannah and I are moving on." Turning away, I felt a surge of relief. I had faced betrayal and found my strength. The road ahead wasn't clear, but at least it was mine to walk, free from deceit and betrayal. Life had settled into a new rhythm at Aaron's house. Hannah was adjusting well, and I finally felt a sense of control returning. But I wasn't done. The time had come for my revenge. Late one evening, after putting Hannah to bed, I sat down with Aaron. "It's time. I need to expose them," I said, my voice resolute. Aaron leaned in, her eyes full of determination. "What's your plan?" I pulled out my laptop and showed her the secret recordings I'd managed to collect over the past few weeks. Mitchell's confessions, Natalie's guilt-ridden ramblings, and Donna's shocking admissions. "These need to go public. People need to see who they really are," I explained. Aaron nodded. "Let's do it. They deserve everything coming their way." Together, we uploaded the videos to a hidden social media account and shared the links anonymously with several community groups and local news outlets. It didn't take long for the videos to go viral. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Comments poured in, expressing disdain and disbelief. The once respected Mitchell, Natalie, and Donna were now subjects of vicious gossip and public shaming. I received a text from Mitchell late that night. "Casey, you need to stop this. It's ruining us." I ignored it. There was no room for mercy. A few days later, I ran into Donna at the grocery store. She looked haggard, a shell of the woman she once was. "Casey, I can't go anywhere without people staring at me. How could you do this?" I met her eyes without flinching. "You did this to yourself, Mom. Actions have consequences." Natalie's life was unraveling too. Sam's divorce suit was the talk of the town. I heard through mutual friends that she'd been forced to leave her job. One evening, she called me, her voice trembling. "Casey, please, I'm begging you, stop this. I've lost everything." "Good," I replied coldly. "Now you know how it feels." Mitchell, desperate, showed up at Aaron's doorstep. Aaron stood firm, blocking his way. "You're not welcome here, Mitchell. Leave." He pleaded. "Please, Casey, I was wrong. I'll do anything to fix this." I stepped forward, my face a mask of resolve. "Fix it? There's no fixing this. You did this. Now live with it." With Mitchell gone and my revenge complete, I felt a strange sense of closure. Aaron and Robert's unwavering support had given me the strength to reclaim my life. It had been a long, painful journey, but I had survived and emerged stronger. Through the chaos, Hannah remained my beacon. One evening, as we sat together watching her favorite show, she turned to me and said, "Mommy, are we happy now?" I smiled, genuinely this time. "Yes, sweetie, we're happy." In the weeks that followed, Mitchell's life fell apart. He lost his job, became a pariah in the community, and was left to brood in his isolation. Donna and Natalie were similarly ostracized, struggling to rebuild their shattered reputations. As for me, I found peace in the simple joys, morning pancakes with Hannah, quiet evenings with Aaron and Robert, and the calm certainty that I had done the right thing. The web of deceit that once strangled my life was gone. Looking ahead, I saw a future filled with hope and new beginnings. Mitchell, Natalie, and Donna had tried to break me, but all they did was make me stronger. Standing in the warm sunlight, holding Hannah's hand, I knew that we had finally found our way out of the darkness, and there was no going back. Months passed, and a sense of normalcy slowly returned. Aaron's house had become a home for Hannah and me. The chaos created by Mitchell, Natalie, and Donna's betrayal was starting to feel like a distant nightmare. One sunny Saturday morning, Aaron and I were watching Hannah play in the backyard when the doorbell rang. It was Mitchell. He looked like a ghost of his former self, pale, tired, and aged beyond his years. "Can we talk, please?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Aaron stayed inside, ready to intervene if necessary. I stepped out onto the porch, folding my arms. "What do you want, Mitchell?" He struggled for words, desperation clear in his eyes. "I lost everything, Casey. My job, my friends, my life. I know I deserve it, but I need to see Hannah. Please." "She's doing fine without you. Better, in fact," I replied, not ready to soften. "Casey," he pleaded, "I know I can't fix what I did, but she's my daughter, too." "I don't want to miss her growing up," I sighed, feeling a conflict within. "You should have thought of that before you betrayed us." He nodded, a broken man. "I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to both of you if you'll let me." "Go home, Mitchell," I said warily. "I'll think about it." Back inside, Aaron looked at me, concern etched on her face. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said, exhaling slowly. "Just dealing with the wreckage." My father, Robert, came by often, offering the kind of quiet support that spoke volumes. "You're doing great, Casey. Better than I ever expected." "Thanks, Dad," I said, appreciating his steady presence. His wisdom anchored me, reminding me of the simple truths that kept me grounded. Donna's attempts to mend our severed bond were less frequent but equally poignant. One afternoon she called. "Casey, I miss you. I'm so sorry for everything." "The damage is done, Mom," I answered with a sad finality. "It's going to take more than an apology to fix this." Over time, the sharp edges of betrayal dulled, replaced by a new focus, Hannah's future. We settled into a comfortable routine, life's small joys reminding me what mattered most. I threw myself into my work, finding new goals and achievements to pursue. One evening, as I tucked Hannah into bed, she looked up at me with bright eyes filled with trust. "Will Daddy ever come home?" I brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Maybe someday, sweetie. But remember, you're surrounded by people who love you. That's what matters." In the following months, Mitchell tried to rebuild his shattered life. The floor of rock bottom taught him humility he'd never known. Natalie and Donna, too, faced their own lonely paths, ostracized by friends and community. I received updates through the grapevine but kept my distance. Their struggles were theirs to bear, consequences of their choices. I was busy with something far more important, creating a safe, loving environment for Hannah. One day, walking hand in hand with Hannah through a park, I felt a sense of peace. "Mommy, look at the ducks," she shouted excitedly. I smiled, squeezing her tiny hand. They're beautiful, aren't they? For the first time in a long while, the future looked bright. I had faced the nightmare, fought my battles, and emerged stronger. The chains of betrayal had been broken, replaced by new hopes and dreams. Standing there, watching Hannah laugh and play, I knew we were going to be all right. Our story wasn't just about revenge, it was about rediscovering life, finding strength in the ruins, and building a future free from the shadows of deceit.
My husband's infidelity came to light. To make matters worse, he dumped his parents on me and fled to his lover. I decided to team up with my in-laws and start plotting revenge. Just you wait. I'm going to bring you down to the depths of hell. My name is Beth, 29 years old. I've been married to Carl for 2 years. We met at a mixer and quickly grew close over shared interests. After dating, we got married and were enjoying peaceful, happy days. Then one day, Carl came home from work, looking confused, and started talking.
I just got a call. My dad's been in an accident.
What? He has?
He's not in life-threatening condition, but he's got paralysis in his right leg, and it might not fully recover, even with rehab.
Oh no. Turns out my father-in-law, Scott, had an accident while shopping. Thankfully, he wasn't badly hurt, and is still quite spry, but the paralysis in his leg forced him to retire. This put a strain on the household finances, as my mother-in-law, Mary, is a homemaker. Seeing this, Carl made a proposal to me.
Beth, I know this is sudden, but can my parents move in with us?
Move in?
Dad will need care for a while, and Mom isn't in a position to work. I want to help them, as their son.
He seemed genuinely worried about his parents. His eyes were full of parental love. Your parents have always been there for us, and I want to help if I can. Wanting to support my husband, I agreed to the living arrangement.
Are you sure?
Of course. I know you care about your parents, and we should help each other.
Thank you. Oh, this is great. I'm so glad I married you.
So, it was decided that my in-laws would move in with us the following month. I had a very good impression of them since we first met for our wedding greetings. Scott is a man of few words, but a solid presence in the home. Mary is friendly and always makes an effort to chat with me, even when I'm nervous. Since moving in, she's been actively helping with cooking. Mary, could you show me how to make pork chops? I love your seasoning. Oh, I'm flattered. It's actually quite simple. Really? Oh, and I also love your tacos. Would you mind teaching me how to make them? How about we make tacos for dinner tonight? Will you help me? Of course. I'd love to help. Her cooking skills are a big help. And when I'm not working, we take care of Scott together, or go out for meals as a trio. Carl's job often requires him to work late, and he's been staying even later since his parents moved in. Naturally, I spent more time with my in-laws, and our relationship deepened. Then one day, while cleaning up after dinner, Mary, looking unusually serious, spoke to me. Beth, can we talk? What's wrong, Mary? Carl is working late again tonight, isn't he? Yes. He texted me earlier that he'd be late because of overtime. I see. Her expression remained gloomy. Concerned, I asked her directly what was wrong. What's going on? It's not like you to ask such things out of the blue.
It's just that I'm worried.
If something's bothering you, please, tell me. I don't want to see you looking so anxious.
Yes, I know. I need to be honest with you.
She looked me straight in the eye, as if she'd made up her mind. We both sat down, facing each other.
Beth, it's about Carl. I think he might be cheating.
Cheating? Carl?
Yes, I'm not entirely sure, but probably.
I felt like the world was spinning. Mary continued, looking concerned.
Last night, he came home late, right?
Yes.
We were all asleep, but I woke up to a noise. He was on the phone.
On the phone?
Yes. He was calling someone Erica. Saying things like, I had a great time today. Same time tomorrow? It made me suspect.
I see.
I'm sorry, Beth. My foolish son.
Let's not jump to conclusions. I'll talk to him when he gets home tonight. The conversation ended awkwardly, and I waited for Carl to return. He came home after midnight. We need to talk. I confronted him right away.
Talk? What's this all about?
I'll get straight to the point. Are you cheating?
What? What are you talking about?
Seeing his panicked reaction, I was convinced he was guilty. So, it's true. Erica, right? How long has this been going on?
Wait, how do you know her name?
Just answer me. When did you start cheating?
No, it's...
Answer me. My voice unintentionally grew louder as I struggled to contain my emotions. Remembering my in-laws were in another room, I was snapped back to reality. Please, just answer me. When did it start? I asked my husband again, who was now wearing an uncomfortable expression.
About a year ago.
He replied quietly. A year ago? So around the time we started living together with your parents?
Yeah.
I thought you were working overtime, but you were cheating. Even with your parents living with us? How could you do such a thing?
Well, that's...
Let's discuss this tomorrow with your parents included. All four of us. After saying that, I headed to the bedroom. My husband didn't come to the bedroom all night. The next morning, I woke up to a knock on the bedroom door and saw Mary standing there with a pale face. Mary, what's wrong?
Beth, it's terrible. Come quickly.
I hurried to the living room as she asked and found divorce papers and a letter on the table. In my husband's handwriting it said,
Please, submit these for me.
What is this?
Beth, Carl's belongings are almost all gone. He must have run away.
No way. Rushing to check the room, I indeed found that most of his belongings were gone. I had lost to his mistress. That thought briefly crossed my mind.
Oh,
why? Tears streamed down my face non-stop. Mary, flustered, tried to comfort me.
I'm so sorry, Beth. Really.
While I cried, she kept rubbing my back. Scott, apparently understanding everything, looked embarrassed. A few hours later, Mary approached me, now calmer.
Beth, are you okay? I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay now. But Mary, I can't be with Carl anymore.
Yes, I understand. You'll get a divorce. Don't worry about us. It's our son's fault.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I decided to divorce my husband and, after much hesitation, submitted the divorce papers. But there was still something I needed to discuss with him. I called him with the intention of it being the last time. After several attempts, he finally answered.
What do you want?
He answered grumpily. What do you mean, what do I want? After all you've done.
It's over, right? You've submitted the divorce papers, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I called because there's something important to discuss.
What's there to talk about? We're divorced. I'm living happily with Erica.
What? Stop already. Just tell me your address right now.
Why should I tell you?
Not for me, for your parents. They need to know where you are, or we can't proceed from here. Carl fell silent for a moment, then said something unbelievable.
You take care of my parents.
What?
I've left that house. It's up to you to look after them.
What are you saying? Is this a joke?
I'm serious. Erica's parents are wealthy. You know, the S Group? Her father is the executive there. This new house was given to us as a wedding gift. It's not normal to live with parents as newlyweds, you know?
I couldn't care less. Enough with your selfishness. You think this is acceptable? He laughed through his nose in response to my trembling anger.
Planning revenge because I left you? Ridiculous. See, this is exactly why I got tired of you.
What?
I'm telling you. I'm getting married to her this weekend and going on a honeymoon at the end of the month. I don't have time for you or my parents.
Are you serious?
I wanted to marry her right away. But since you were taking care of my parents, I continued this loveless marriage. Be grateful I extended our marriage this long.
He hung up abruptly. At that moment, my pent-up emotions snapped. I won't forgive this. Such an unjust ending can't be right. I'll definitely get revenge on Carl and his mistress. A wave of uncontrollable anger surged through me. I had no more tolerance for this man. For now, I decided to tell my in-laws about the phone call. After hearing the whole story, Scott was shaking with rage. In the midst of this, Mary made an unexpected statement.
Listen, I have an idea.
What? Scott and I looked at each other, surprised by her words. She shared a plan with us, and we decided to execute it to coincide with Carl's honeymoon. A month later, my ex-husband, euphoric on his honeymoon, called me. Hello?
Oh, Beth, it's been a while. How are you?
He had called back as I had previously requested him to contact me when he returned. While containing my growling irritation, I got straight to the point. Did you enjoy your honeymoon?
Yeah, it was incredibly fun. Plus, Erica's parents paid for the whole trip. They said it's because I'm their precious daughter's chosen one. Sick, right?
Isn't that nice? Creating one last beautiful memory.
Last? My married life with Erica has just begun. You really don't get it, do you? Stop being so envious.
I wonder who's the one not getting it. Apparently, they still hadn't realized anything. Carl, not listening to me, went on saying whatever he wanted, calling me clingy, and telling me to get lost. I decided to reveal the whole truth to him. You know, you don't have a home to return to anymore.
What? What are you talking about? We're going to stay at the new house Erica's parents lent us.
Someone else lives there now.
What? Who's living there?
Your parents.
What?
He seemed unable to comprehend my unexpected revelation, repeatedly saying,
What?
And,
Huh?
over the phone. I continued without paying him any mind. You should have told Erica's parents everything. That your relationship started from an affair. That you were married at that time.
You told her parents?
Not me. It was your mother who contacted them.
What? Mom did? How did she get their contact information?
From S Group, the company where Erica's father works. You told me yourself, remember?
Oh.
Yes. From the conversation with my ex-husband, I knew the company where his mistress's parents worked. I had already reported this to Mary and Scott. The plan Mary suggested was to reveal everything to the mistress's parents. We intended it to discuss it properly after telling them, but they had no idea their daughter's relationship started as an affair. Outraged after hearing the truth from Mary, they decided to let Mary and Scott use the apartment they had lent to the couple as compensation. Carl probably bragged to me, thinking it was something to be proud of, but it backfired this time. After explaining our plan, he was at a loss for words. Oh, and the belongings you left at your new place were sent to Erica's parents. Her father was furious, saying, "Come and explain everything and apologize."
He was furious? What have you done, Beth? You ruined everything I had hidden so well. Don't bring up unnecessary things.
Unnecessary? I'm just stating the facts.
That's what's unnecessary. I had a job lined up at S Group through her father's connections. I even quit my previous job, and now it's all gone.
My laughter made him snap.
Hey, what's so funny?
Sorry. It's just so absurdly stupid. I couldn't help it.
What did you say? It's your fault this happened. Apologize.
Even now, he showed no remorse. The man I once chose had fallen so low. It was sad to think about it, but I had no intention of forgiving him. This was the end of our relationship. I unleashed all my pent-up anger and resentment. Apologize? Why should I? You're the one who created this mess. You failed to properly handle things, and that's why we're here. Don't you get it, you effing jerk?
Whoa, Beth?
Don't call me by my name. It's disgusting. I feel so refreshed now that we're divorced. He became silent, probably panicking. Thanks for cheating. I'll be looking forward to a hefty alimony from you.
Alimony? Wait, I'm in a tough spot with work right now.
Like I care about your problems. Work your butt off with that stupid woman of yours and pay up every cent. Make sure you pay it all, no matter what it takes. Brace yourself, jerk.
Wait, Beth.
I cut him off mid-sentence, hung up the phone, and blocked his number. It was finally over. I was free from this mess. The exhaustion hit me as soon as the call ended. Later, I sought a lawyer and demanded the maximum alimony from my ex-husband and his mistress. He ended up in debt after paying the lump sum and was completely cut off by the mistress's parents. Carl lost his job and was kicked out of the house. Thus, they plummeted from the peak of happiness to the depths of hell. Now, they're working nonstop from dawn to dusk, with all their earnings going towards debt repayment, completely stripped of their freedom. As for me, I'm enjoying my new single life, living freely. I still keep in touch with my former in-laws and have regular meals with them. They apologize every time we meet.
Beth, we're really sorry for what that idiot did. I know it's inexcusable, but we are very sorry.
Mary, Scott, it's okay. Look, the food is getting cold. They seem to feel guilty, but I don't mind at all. The relationship I built with them is genuine. It seems like our relationship will continue. They've treated me like a real daughter, and I want to repay their kindness someday.
My name is Sally. I live with my husband Mark and our daughter, who is now 5 years old and has become more verbal. I'm a 31 years old working mother. We're not particularly rich or poor, just a normal and very close family, which ended up being hit by the storm. The storm was called Victoria, my mother-in-law. Her husband had passed away, and she had been living alone since. She, Mark, and I agreed not to live together at the beginning of our marriage. It was hassle-free for all of us. Mark was the only son she conceived late in her marriage. 5 years after we got married, she had become quite old, and living alone was becoming a lot harder and more dangerous. Mark took the time to go and see her, but it seemed troublesome for him, watching him try not to burden me and tackling on his own. I made up my mind to have her move in with us. My loving husband was working hard, and how could I not support him? I put myself together and boldly told him about my decision. He was very surprised and uncertain at first. To be honest, I wasn't certain either, but also knew the situation needed to be implemented. I told him that I won't be able to do much, as I still have to take care of the chores, our daughter, and my work. If anything happened to Victoria, he was basically responsible to care for her. We discussed in length about our plan and then welcomed her into our home.
Thank you so much, Sally. I really appreciate it.
On one spring day, when cherry blossoms were dancing in the wind, she thanked me in tears. Seeing her humble attitude, I thought we were going to live well together. She remained modest in the beginning, but as the days went by, her true nature was revealed. Her bullying started on me, and I realized how wrong my judgment was.
Sally, this tastes too strong for me. Can you dilute it?
If I did as I was told, then she said,
Why did you make it so tasteless? Are you mocking me? How rude.
This was just the beginning.
All my clothes must be washed by hand. The washing machine will damage them. They are all good quality.
When I suggested taking them to dry cleaning, she replied,
Such a waste of money. You're living off of my son's income. You should think more about saving money.
It could have been solved easily if she paid for them from her own pocket, but she seemed not to consider. Well, I was convinced that she was just harassing me as she was smirking the whole time. By the way, this was the introductory level. The intermediate level was like this.
Sally, do you put on makeup? I don't think it helps you much. The base is bad to begin with. My granddaughter is lucky to take my son's look. He looks like me. Hence, she too looks like me. She has a bright future.
And she woke up at 4 in the morning to put on makeup for over 2 hours. She looked like a different person after a shower. I could respect her as a woman for wanting to be beautiful forever, but her foundation was way lighter for her skin tone. She looked like a geisha. Her cheeks were oddly red. Plus, I had a hard time getting her bright red lipsticks off the cups. I knew how rude it was to criticize someone's appearance, so I kept my mouth shut. What I couldn't forgive was that she threw away my precious makeup set so easily. When I came back from work, the whole thing was gone. I asked her why she threw it away.
I've been telling you, haven't I? It doesn't work on your ugly face. Don't waste money on useless things. Save, save, save. Do without makeup from now on. Oh, how caring I am for this family. You better appreciate me.
Never would I ever. If I was in the mountains, I would have screamed my head off. The word never would have echoed many times into her ears. Unfortunately, I wasn't in the mountains. The lame thing was that she only bullied me when we were alone. She chose the time when Mark was at work, and our daughter was in preschool. I hesitated to complain to Mark about this mother, but I still wanted him to be aware of it. I mildly expressed my dissatisfaction after much agonizing, but it was useless. "I'll speak to her." When he warned her, she ended up denying in tears. She even went as far as to say that I was trying to frame her. Mark didn't know what to do, but was confused. I too had no choice but to roll my eyes. If she refused to own up to her actions, I had a plan. A picture was worth 1,000 words. I decided to secretly record the interactions between her and me and show them to him. When I was thinking about where to hide the camera, the advanced level of bullying started. It was spring when she moved in, and then a hot summer passed, autumn ended, and one day in winter, Mark was away on a business trip for a few days. My daughter was also away, staying with my parents. It was snowing outside. I usually drove my car for work, but I hadn't put chains on my tires, so I took a taxi on that day. After work, I normally cleaned the house, did laundry, and then cooked dinner. Let me repeat, it was the dead of winter and at night. Snow was piling up outside. It was definitely not the right situation to wash clothes by hand. Despite this, Victoria gave me a pile of her laundry with a grin.
Here's my laundry. These are expensive clothes, so you must wash them by hand.
She repeated must because she knew I wasn't going to like it. I wash in warm water.
No, you can. The color will fade and you damage the fabric. You must wash in cold water in the whole time.
I was running out of my patience and thought, it's snowing out, you moron. Are you kidding me? Why should I use cold water on this freezing night? If you care so much, do it yourself. I yelled at her.
How dare you? I'm elderly. Are you serious suggesting I wash these in cold water myself?
I wanna ask if you're serious.
I am always serious.
It was worse if she really meant it. Not expecting that I was going to talk back to her, her face turned red, and she grimaced at me. I wasn't going to step back. Why don't you go outside and check for yourself? You've been warmed inside all day long, so you don't realize, do you? It's snowing a lot and unbelievably cold out.
What the hell? You're telling me to go out in the cold? You're terrible.
What about you then? You demand me to use cold water in this cold. We argued back and forth. I was determined to fight all the way. I felt bad for Mark, but I couldn't be a good wife if I must continue to live with her. I was grimacing at her when she suddenly grabbed my hand tightly. She dragged me while I was taken aback by her strength, which made me doubt her age. And in no time, I was pushed out the front door. When I realized what was going on, the door locked with a thud. Victoria!
No need for a daughter-in-law like you. Get lost.
This is my house. You're the one to leave. My scream was useless. She was determined to lock me outside and ignore my banging on the door. I was in distress and didn't know what to do. Not wearing a coat and not having my kid, but thankfully my phone was in my pocket. I called Victoria. I could hear her phone ring, but she didn't answer. I tried to call Mark, who was supposed to return from his trip that night, but he didn't pick up. I had no choice but to text him. I got locked out of the house by your mom. I'll get hypothermia in the snow. I'll wait for you at a diner nearby. I started walking in the snow. I thought about calling 911, but I didn't want to make a big deal. I was sure Victoria would come up with some excuses to make me look bad. It was better for me to just wait at a diner. I wrapped my arms around my freezing body. My breath hovered around me like smoke. The snow kept falling non-stop and was accumulating on the ground. There was no car or bike passing by. It was nighttime, and there was hardly anyone in sight. I kept moving forward in the quiet darkness. When I finally arrived at the diner, I couldn't believe my eyes. Closed due to the snowstorm. The evacuation spot I reached in desperation was closed. What a night! I chose to go to the police station then. Instead of calling and waiting for them to come, I kept moving with a sense of despair before the heavy snow. The tips of my fingers and toes were numb. When I checked the time on my phone, it had been an hour since I got through out. I called Victoria once again, but she didn't answer. I was walking briskly in the scenery that had completely changed. Help! My feet stopped when I thought I heard something. I was at the beginning of a bridge over a river. I pricked up my ears. Help! What the? I heard it. It was very clear this time. I ran in the direction of the voice. I looked down from the bridge, which wasn't that high, and to my surprise, I saw someone. An old lady was calling for help, lying in a shallow part of the river. I ran down the bank as fast as I could and into the river. Icy water pierced my feet and legs. The coldness turned to pain, but I kept walking toward her. Are you all right? Help me. I can't move. I'm so cold. Are you okay? Stay with me. She must have been relieved to find help, so she leaned against me and passed out. I was in a panic. My feet and legs were frozen and didn't move as I wanted them to. Someone help us! Just when I thought my desperate cries were about to be lost in vain. Oh my God, are you okay? I thought I heard a man's voice, and then Mark showed up. The moment I saw him rushing toward me in a frenzy, I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes the next time, I saw the white ceiling. Honey, are you awake? Mark hovered over my face with a concerned look. He told me that I was in the hospital. After he dragged the old lady and me out of the river, he called 911. It was the night before, and I had been sleeping since then. Your business trip? Oh, Dawn, when you called me, I was still on the plane. I called you back as soon as I landed, but you didn't pick up. There was a long queue for the taxi, so I took a train and was just walking back when I saw you going into the river. What luck! I panicked thinking you were throwing yourself into the river. Well, it seems the old lady did though. Mark told me that she tried to commit suicide because she was depressed about her life. When she hit the water, which was so cold that she came back to herself and tried to get out, but her body was frozen and she was unable to move. If she wasn't found at that time, she might have not made it. So she survived. As I felt relief, I became drowsy again. Sleep. You must be exhausted. Take a good rest. I was reassured by his kind words combined with the warmth of the hospital room. I slowly drifted off to sleep. Burning in anger at Victoria, I was hospitalized for a few days and regained my energy. When I got home in a short while, I frozen in front of it. Victoria never once showered her face while I was in the hospital and of course never apologized. She locked me out in the heavy snow and almost killed me. I honestly couldn't live with her anymore. I opened the front door with a heavy heart. As soon as I stepped inside, I was taken aback by the sight of her. Yikes! Victoria! I wasn't expecting to face her right away. I'm very sorry, Sally. I froze in surprise as her voice came into my ears. Pardon me? Unbelievable. She apologized. As I couldn't say anything, she continued.
I didn't imagine you would end up like that. I sincerely regret that I lost my temper and kicked you out. Please forgive me.
She begged in tears. Well, did she really regret it? She was always so condescending to me no matter what. She locked me out in the snow. I was very much skeptical. It was too crazy to think there was no catch. I looked at her with suspicious eyes. What would you do if I said I can't forgive you? Victoria jerked a little. I thought I was going to die from the cold. If Mark didn't fight me, who knows how I would have ended up? I would think that anyone with the right mind would have known what was to happen if someone was locked out in such a heavy snowfall. If you say you didn't know, does that mean you are crazy? When I said it full of sarcasm, her face turned red.
What did you say?
She ranted loudly.
Just because I apologized, you tried to make advantage of me. How dare you? Mark said he would end up the cohabitation if I didn't apologize to you, so I had no choice but to obey him. Do you get it? I did what I was told to do, so it's over now. Get to your chores if you understood.
She took my little provocation so easily. I gloated over her true intention. She had no remorse as I expected. I guess people can change overnight. Especially a person like her won't change forever. As if to upset my feelings, she started bullying me right away.
You must wash my clothes in cold water.
She still wanted me to do that.
You must cook only my favorite meals. If it's bad, I will throw it out.
Oh God, no. There was no saving grace for her. I sighed loudly as I turned my face behind me. Honey, what should I do now? Mark stood a short distance away, just out of sight of Victoria. He, my husband and a beloved son of Victoria, had been standing there since the beginning.
Mark, what about your work?
Victoria was stunned by the sight of him. I took a day off to accompany Sally. Anyway, you're not sorry at all, are you?
Oh, no. It was just a joke, of course.
If it really was, it was not funny at all. I told you, didn't I? Be deeply remorseful for what you did and apologize to her. And never do anything like that again.
I did apologize, didn't I?
You bounced back right away and were nasty to her again. I told you that was a joke. It was a very bad joke. I had told Mark to keep distance from me for a bit. Victoria reacted as I expected, or rather, more brilliantly. I couldn't stop laughing at her desperate excuses.
What are you laughing about, Sally? You know you're...
Hey, Mom, I'm talking to you right now. Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
It seemed that even she couldn't evade a scolding of her beloved son. He continued coming down on her, who listened in tears. How can you treat Sally so terribly? She was worried about you and agreed to have you with us.
I was a little out of line earlier, but I never bullied her.
She still tried to deny it.
Well, I did comment on her food a few times, but I just wanted her to know my taste. I told her to take my clothes to the dry cleaner, but she was the one who said it was a waste of money and wanted to wash them herself. When I told her to put some makeup on, she didn't listen and even threw her cosmetics away in front of me. I sometimes wondered if she was being sarcastic.
What was she talking about? It sounded like she didn't want to take any responsibility for all she had done. I had no choice but took out my phone and played back the recording.
These are expensive clothes, so you must wash them by hand.
A clear recording of her voice played. She screamed and tried to take my phone away. I dodged her hand and continued the playback.
You must wash in cold water. No need for a daughter-in-law like you. Get lost.
The sound of her dragging me out and locking the front door, ignoring me calling out to her. All the abuse she said and did that day was recorded. I had this phone in my pocket and was recording. Whenever I had conversation with her, I always set my phone to record mode, so that I could keep evidence of her words and deeds at any cost. My daily action must have brought me a good result. If I didn't have my phone that day, it would have turned out differently. Do you have anything to say? Victoria was agitated. Do you have any last words?
Last words?
Yes.
What do you mean?
This is the end. You trampled on my kindness to take care of you. I want you out of the house.
No way!
I'm cutting ties with you. You go ahead and leave alone. I'll never get in touch with you. I'll ignore you if you try to contact me. I'll never see you again. You still got the money from when you sold your house. If you have a pension on top of it, you can live comfortable without my support.
Wait a minute, Mark. Hold the thought. Are you going to throw me out? Are you betraying your only parent?
You betrayed me. She was speechless to his anger and just slumped her shoulders. The melting snow falling from the roof sounded louder than usual in the silence. Then it all happened so fast. Mark and I packed out Victoria's belongings where she was depressed and doing nothing. Her hometown where she was moving to was 2 hours by car from our house. She had some relatives there, but they'd been estranged until now. I suppose no one was going to pay much attention even she came back. She also seemed to have no friends as she never went out when she was with us. I assumed she had a lot of time on her hands that she entertained herself by bullying with me. But it no longer mattered to me.
Bye-bye, Grandma.
My daughter flapped her hands to Victoria. She finally started to cry when she saw her lovely granddaughter not sad to see her go but smiling at her. A taxi carrying her drove off, leaving her sobs behind. It didn't bring up any feelings in me. I was just thinking she got a self-inflicted wound and walked into the house with a refreshed mind. Days and months passed by. Victoria was living alone and lonely. I sometimes received calls from her, so I assumed she was well. We have never met up or spoken to her as declared back then. She will continue to live alone and lonely. The cost of destroying the happiness she received was a high price to pay. I've gotten back peace of mind after she left. I'm serving tea to a surprise visitor as I listen to the sound of the washing machine spinning. My guest is an elderly woman, the same lady I had saved that snowing day. She became pessimistic about her life after living alone for a while and had a lot on her mind. But then she felt the icy river water and wanted to try living a little longer.
My son told me to move in with his family. That's great news. His wife is a very nice person, but I don't want to be burdened. So I've decided to move closer to them instead.
Oh, I see.
My son lives far away, and I don't see him at all. I've been alone and lonely ever since my husband's passed away, and I thought nothing good would come for leaving. But now I know it doesn't have to be that way.
I'm very happy to hear that.
As long as I'm alive, I will leave. I'm very thankful to you for rescuing me that day.
We smiled at each other. The old lady lived hard, alone and lonely, and found happiness. Victoria voluntarily disrupted her own cohabitation with her family. There are many ways to spend retirement, Everyone is different. But depending on your attitude, it can be happy or unhappy. Looking at the two old women, I have a vague idea of what I want my future to be like. I remind myself how I should live in order to keep my current peaceful and happy life, and to have a happy retirement.
My husband threatens to divorce me for not doing housework as I was hospitalized, so I agree to it.
Well then, you better understand one thing here. Go on, tell me. Next time you ignore to do your chores, then we will get a divorce. Oh my! You'd be in trouble if we get a divorce, right? You have no other family and you're a loner, right? I have no other family and I'm a loner, huh? I see how it is. My husband, Fred, placed the divorce papers on the table in front of me confidently. Oh, so it is all filled out. Wow, it's true. Our kids looked at each other and instantly began to take action. Huh? Our kids snatched the divorce papers in their hands quickly. You want to divorce me, right? Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. If you're going to skip and ignore to do any house chores, I'm divorcing you. Fine. Huh? Let's get a divorce. My name is Judy. I've been married to my husband Fred for 25 years. We have been blessed with 2 children. To say that my husband is an old-fashioned person sounds too good to be true. He is a quiet man who supports his family as the main breadwinner of the family. But actually, he's the type of person who nags and forces me to go to work, and he is also the type of person who also makes me take care of everything about the house, including doing all the house chores. Fortunately, before marrying Fred, I lived on my own for a long time and worked hard to save money. So it was not really hard for me to take care of the house. And above all, I thoroughly devoted myself to housework for the sake of our children, Jack and John. Thanks to my efforts, both Jack and John grew up to be successful adults. And last year, the younger one, John, left home to live on his own. I was a stay-at-home mom until both of our kids reached middle school. The reason for this being that it was simply because Fred wanted me to be a stay-at-home mom. After graduating from university, I worked at a publishing company for a long time, but when I was in my 20s, both my parents passed away one after the other. Losing both of my parents, and as an only child, I had no other families and I was left all alone in this world. If my parents had any siblings, we might have had a chance to get to know each other as a family. But both of them didn't have any sisters or brothers, and both of my grandparents also had passed away. I was really all alone. And that was when I met my husband. He came in as I was smoking a cigarette in the smoking room, and he began to refill the vending machines for drinks. Then, seeing me, he approached me with a bottle of drink. This is a new product that our company will come up with at the end of the month. If you wouldn't mind it, would you like to try it? Oh, thank you very much, I will. This was how we first met, and that was how our first conversation went. But after meeting several times, we became pretty close, and this developed into a relationship. And then I learned that he had a dream. When I heard about his dream, I felt that I really wanted to support him from the bottom of my heart. His dream was to become a novelist. I had the opportunity to read one of the work he had written, and I thought that it was quite good for his first novel. Since I worked in a publishing company, I told him that I would talk to his editor about possibility of publishing his work, but he stubbornly refused. As I thought that him thinking that was a waste, I felt he had great talent, and I became more and more attracted to him. And over time, we got married, and 25 years have passed since then. However, he never made it big as a novelist. I found out that what he had written was actually written by a friend of my husband's. I found out about that when my younger son was just 5 years old. I heard about the novel, which was published from another publishing company, because it was getting popular. So I read it to know what the hype was, and found that it was exactly the same as the one my husband had shown me. At that time, I finally understood that my husband had tricked me about it. If this was all true, I would have accused him of plagiarism, but I didn't. I would never do that because, actually, Fred had never written a novel since we got married. I could immediately feel and determine that Fred had plagiarized the work. But by this time, our kids had already been born. And my husband, for some reason, kept me from becoming a publisher and made me quit my work at the publishing company. But I decided to turn a blind eye to that, as long as our kids would grow up with no problem. I am beyond grateful that my husband and I got married and that we were able to have kids. But to be honest, this marriage has been a difficult one for me. My husband basically forced me to quit my job and made me become a full-time housewife. But he is the one who still controls the family finance. So, my husband gives me the money for living expenses, but for the past 25 years, I have received only $500 a month for living expenses. Saving money is not hard, but it would be impossible to cover food and utilities for a family of 4 with only that amount. I have tried several times to negotiate with Fred about it, but he insists that he can't give me more than the amount he's been giving me, and couldn't get anywhere with a negotiation. So, I began to use my savings I made before I married Fred, and used it mainly on our kids. I got vegetables that were on sale and meat that were half-priced in grocery stores for Fred's meals only, and cooked meals for him with those ingredients as a way of showing how I would oppose to his arguments. Once I got the cheap ingredients from the grocery stores, I would put them immediately into the freezer. I am sure that the quality and the taste wouldn't be that good as compared to the normal ones, but once I do that, I would feel much more at ease. Of course, I made sure that our kids ate well. The savings I have before I married Fred were for our kids. But the $300,000 that I had as my savings were gone as soon as my younger son graduated from college. I am truly relieved that I was able to spend my savings without our kids having to feel that it was never enough for them. I think my husband was really selfish. He had forced me to quit my job and focus on house chores. But when the kids started middle school, he insisted that I work. But I was reluctant to do so. It wasn't because I didn't want to work. I actually did want to work. But it was because I couldn't forgive my husband's selfishness at all. I knew that if I started working here, he would stop providing any of his money for the family. He would spend the money he earned on whatever he wanted to do with it, as if it was all for his own. I just couldn't allow Fred to do that. But when my husband saw me reluctant about his suggestion, he began to say such horrible things like removing me from his support system. I truly hated the fact that he was so selfish. But it turned out to be actually a good thing for me. Now that I'm off his support system, no matter how much money I earn from my work, Fred will never know how much I'd earn. And My husband goes to work early in the morning and doesn't come home until late at night. Even if I start working, he will probably never find out. And in the end, he still never found out that I was actually working. And I think it kind of helped that my husband was a man who only cared about himself. He was also oblivious about things like pension and so on. If he wasn't so oblivious, then he'd know that there was no way we could afford it all just with $500. Now that both our kids left our home, now it was my time to spend time and live my life with my husband. But I couldn't imagine such future with Fred. So I had thought of getting a divorce with my husband once the kids were married. But just as I was thinking about that, I got hospitalized. It all started when I went to the hospital for an annual medical checkup. The name of the disease was uterine fibroid, and the doctor told me that I would have to have my uterus removed completely. It was quite a shock to hear that, but there was no other way. I still wanted to watch my kids grow up, and there were still some things that I wanted to do. After consulting with the doctor and the kids, I agreed to have it removed. From next week for 5 days, I'll be gone. I informed Fred while I served him his dinner.
Huh? What are you saying?
I'm getting a surgery.
Yeah, but why for 5 days? What about money? How much does it cost?
It's all about money again. My husband was worried about money instead of me getting the surgery. Don't you worry about the surgery fee. I'll pay with the savings I made this whole time.
What? You have secret savings and you didn't tell me about it? So much for using my money, huh? I guess giving you $500 per month was too much. From next month, I'll only give you $300.
Anyways, I'll be gone from next week.
You eat all my money up.
I am no longer emotionally affected by these horrible words. Over the past 25 years, I was able to learn to ignore some things that Fred says. The day before the surgery, I was admitted to the hospital, and the next day the surgery was held and it was a success. While I was lying in bed, both our sons came running to me.
Mom, are you okay?
Yes, thank you. I'm fine.
But don't you look a little pale?
I guess so, but it's because I just woke up from the anesthesia. I'm sorry I worried you. I'm fine, so you can go back to work now.
Don't worry, we're both taking a half day off today.
Oh, really? Thank you.
Mom, do you want a hamburger? You must be hungry, right?
Oh my, you got it just for me? Thank you. But, you know, I can only eat hospital food after my surgery. I'll just take it as a courtesy. Both of our sons worked hard and stayed with me until just before visiting hours were finished. They really both have grown up to be kind and gentle. But on the third day in the hospital, I received a call from Fred every 5 minutes. Thinking that maybe something wrong had happened to Fred, I let out a huge sigh. Yes, what is it?
You. How long are you going to be out of the house?
I'll be out of the hospital in 2 days.
No, I won't allow it. You better come home now.
Oh, please, don't be unreasonable. I can't leave the hospital yet.
I'm being forced to pay extra living expenses because you're slacking off on your house chores.
Oh, really?
I'll be collecting $200 from you.
$200 for being away from home for just 5 days? That's quite a wild estimate. Anyways, I'm in a hospital room right now and there are other patients around me, so I'll turn off my phone. I'll be back home in 2 days.
Hey!
This is the moment I realized once again what a noisy and inconsiderate person Fred is. I want to praise myself for having spent 25 years with this person. Well, I only have to hold on a little longer. I will be free once my kids get married. But first, let's have him give me back my little freedom back. When I returned home after leaving the hospital, my husband was waiting for me at home, even though it was weekday. "Oh, you're here." But I knew that this would happen. My husband had taken time off from work just to blame me for everything I haven't been doing.
Hey, you sit here.
Please wait a moment. I'll wash my hands now.
I don't care about that. Hurry up and sit down.
No, I don't want to. If I get an infection from this, I'll have to blame you. My husband then waits for me while tapping his foot non-stop. Well then, thank you for waiting.
$200.
Ah, yes, that's right. Here you go. My husband snatched the money out from my hand. What a crude person he is.
Tell me how you're reflecting about what you had done this time.
Reflecting? Well, I can't say that this is all due to ignoring about my health, and it's really hard to say that food had anything to do with it. If I had to say this, then I'd say that it was destined to happen.
What are you talking about?
Yes, I'm just saying that I've been reflecting about this illness I had.
That's not what I meant.
Oh, well, what else should I be sorry for?
I was talking about how you skipped out on your house chores.
Oh, that. Well, wait a minute. I think they should be home soon.
Huh? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about our kids.
Huh? Why are they coming back here?
I asked them to because I wanted them to see what was going on this time. And it's pretty important, you know. Then Fred began to grin. In my husband's mind, he probably thought that he can show off about what a father is like to the kids after a long time. People who only sees themselves and are just too selfish are easy to deal with because their actions are so simple and easy to read. 10 minutes later, both of our sons arrived, and our conversation resumed.
You seem awfully excited. Well, I'll listen if you want to talk first. Listen up, boys. Don't ever get a wife like your mother here. You'll just have a hard time.
A hard time? Like what?
Like how you are right now. You oppose against me every single time.
I just want to know how you're feeling and what you're thinking about. If we are a couple, then it is only natural that we want to know about each other.
Well then, you better understand one thing here.
Go on, tell me.
Next time you ignore to do your chores, then we will get a divorce.
Oh my!
You be in trouble if we get a divorce, right? You have no other family and you're a loner, right?
I have no other family and I'm a loner, huh? I see how it is. My husband, Fred, placed the divorce papers on the table in front of me confidently.
Oh, so it is all filled out. Whoa, it's true.
Our kids looked at each other and instantly began to take action.
Huh?
Our kids snatched the divorce papers in their hands quickly. You want to divorce me, right?
Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. If you're going to skip and ignore to do any house chores, I'm divorcing you.
Fine.
Huh?
Let's get a divorce. The reason I had the kids come over today was to discuss about divorcing you. I was going to wait until the kids were married before divorcing you, but you seem to want a divorce now, and look at the kids' faces. They seem to agree with the divorce too, so I will file these divorce papers.
No, wait a minute. How are you, a housewife, going to live all on your own after divorcing me? Don't pretend to act so strong.
Do you really think that just $500 a month will cover the pension, tax, insurance, and all that, plus food and utilities? It's impossible. I've been working since the day when you removed me from your support system. Oh, don't worry. I have no intention of receiving any property from you with your small salary. The fact that you gave me these divorce papers is enough as a gift from you. Well then, I'll pick up my belongings on another day.
Hey, wait! What kind of work are you doing?
I'm an editor. One of the author I'm in charge of is the author of a piece that you plagiarized. Well then, please take care.
Wait a minute.
My husband tried desperately to snatch the divorce papers away, but my kids' defenses were much more stronger. My second son tackled him and we were able to leave the house without any problems. And my divorce was successfully finalized. But my ex-husband was a man who was obsessed with money until the end. When he found out that I earned more than he did, he insisted on sharing common property. Well, it was what I had expected anyways. He destroyed my last act of mercy with his own hands. I hired a lawyer and told my ex-husband that I was suing him for financial abuse and moral harassment. He flatly denied that this was all true, but when I provided him with the family financial book, which had a record of the whole 25 years, he caved in easily. He desperately pleaded me to spare him only a trial, but there was no need to listen to him. I sued him without mercy. The result was an overwhelming victory. He had been spending his hard-earned money on other things, and so he could not afford a decent lawyer, and the case was settled almost entirely on our terms. In the end, he ended up having to pay me $20,000 as alimony without getting any of the common property. If he had quietly backed down, there would have been no consequences. I felt as if my 25 years had been paid off just with $20,000, but basically, I have absolutely no regrets about marrying him. In fact, I am more grateful. It is because of him that I was able to meet such wonderful kids. After the divorce, my ex-husband seems to be in frequent contact with the kids, but they would tell me that they will never see him again. That's true. My ex-husband has never cooperated with the kids in any way. I don't think they will ever open up to him even if he comes on to them now. He contacted me once, but after court, I never had anything to do with him again. I didn't answer the call and I rejected it. What I am looking forward to now is that my kids are getting married and having grandchildren. I will save my money so that I can do all kinds of things for my grandchildren. This is exactly what you would call a satisfying middle-aged divorce. I fully respect Judy's enduring attitude. I hope you will be able to live a stress-free life from now on. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.
My husband travels with my mother-in-law with a ticket I won at a contest. As a result.
All right then. Well, I'm gonna go to the trip with my mom. You stay at home, okay?
Huh? I was completely speechless. But this is the prize which I won at the contest, you know? Besides, if the winner doesn't use the ticket, then that ticket would be invalid. I tried to say that, but my husband, Mike, says something so outrageous over what I was trying to say.
If you don't like it, then we'll get a divorce.
Excuse me?
I'm saying that if you can't obey with what I'm saying, then we'll get a divorce.
My affectionate feelings that I had for my husband instantly cooled down with these words. My name is Sasha, and I am a 30-year-old office worker. I went to an all-girls school from middle school until university and entered the society without ever having had a proper conversation with a man. And my work was so busy that I didn't have time to fall in love at all, and before I knew it, I was 25 years old. I thought this was a bad idea, so a friend of mine took the initiative and set up a blind date for me. And then I had my first boyfriend, who was a freelancer, but lied about being an office worker, and also became unemployed after we started to date. I realized that he was going to completely depend on me and live off of me, so I broke up with him as soon as I could. Because my first boyfriend was such a person like that, I became even more of averse to men and couldn't trust men that easily. Therefore, I finally reached the age of 30 without having any boyfriend at all. My parents were even more worried about me than I was. Both my father and mother had already been married for several years when they were my age, so they were feeling quite impatient as well. Nowadays, it is not too late to get married in 30s, but back then, the latest age a person could get married was around 25 years old. So, my father brought several offers of arranged marriages to me, saying that if I didn't have any boyfriend or partner, he would find one for me. At first, I turned them all down several times, but gradually, I felt bad about continuing to turn down the offers that my father would bring me. Besides, I felt with my own skin that both my father and mother wished me, their only daughter, to be happy. That's why I decided to take it positive and go on a blind date to show my parents that I am also grateful of them. That is when I met Mike, who later became my current husband. Mike is 30 years old, and he was the same age as me. He too had attended a boys' school all his life and had never had a chance to fall in love with a girl. What I liked about him was that he was very protective of his parents and took very good care of them. Even after he became an adult, he regularly visits his parents' house, gifts them trips, and goes on trips with them. He seems to have a good personality and works properly in a company. I've gotten his business card and I've made sure of it. I was very cautious because I had made a mistake with my previous boyfriend. Even though I was being cautious and checking carefully, there seemed to be nothing strange about Mike. I'm sure he's fine. That's what I thought to myself. And the two of us continued to date. He took the lead, as I was shy, and took very good care of me. I became more and more attracted to him. After 2 years of dating, Mike proposed to me, and we got married. My parents were crying and was being very happy when they heard that I was finally getting married. I truly felt that not only had I met a good man, but I was also very happy to have been able to take care of my parents like this. And after the wedding ceremony, we went on our honeymoon and started our life happily as a husband and wife. Since my husband and I were both working, we shared the housework. My husband is not a good cook, so I did the cooking, and he did the laundry and cleaning. We got along well as a couple, and I think we had a happy married life supporting each other. But after just 1 year of marriage, things changed. It all started when my father-in-law passed away due to an illness. After that, my husband began to care excessively about my mother-in-law, Bianca, who was left all alone. On Mike's days off, he would go to his parents-in-law's house to visit Bianca, and he and Bianca would sometimes go out together on their own. Sometimes he drops by Bianca's house after work and eats dinner on his own with her. And sometimes he would go on a trip with just Bianca. I saw my husband leaving on the morning of the trip with his travel bag, and I had asked him cluelessly if he was going on a business trip. But to that, he would say, "No, I'm traveling with my mother to New York." I was really surprised to hear that at that time. First of all, I just couldn't believe that he was going to go on a trip without letting me know about it, and then to keep quiet about it. If I hadn't asked, he wasn't going to tell me, huh? No matter how much you care about your own mother, can you really disrespect your own wife like that? That's how I felt. It's not that he totally ignores me, but to this extent, I think he has gone beyond being family-oriented to being a mama's boy. But even so, my husband does not seem to want to change his attitude or lifestyle. In fact, I don't think he even thinks how he's acting is wrong. In any case, I decided to compromise and spend my time with him for the time being, thinking that this was how he was. If we divorced after only 1 year of marriage, I would really feel bad for my parents, and if we had a child, my husband's attitude might change again. It's not right to divorce so easily. I spent my days thinking like that. I also decided to take up a hobby of my own and have recently become addicted to entering in contests to get prizes. I have been entering various contests, getting prizes, and writing reviews, which is surprisingly fun. And if I keep at it, I often win prizes like cosmetics and food. And then, on one of the contests I entered in, I won a pair of airline tickets to Guam. I was so surprised that I had to reread my email about 3 times because I had never won such a big prize before. I checked the contents of the email thoroughly just to make sure that it wasn't a fraud. It didn't seem to take me to any suspicious links, nor did it ask me for my credit card number or anything like that. So that means that I really won the Guam trip. It seems that I have to contact the airline in advance to redeem the travel tickets. Who should I go with? My husband just recently went on a trip to New York with Bianca. Shall I ask my friends or my parents? Ah, yes, I thought to myself, and I decided to give this travel tickets to my parents for them to enjoy the trip. Then I went to my parents' house and informed them about it. Well, it's been years since we traveled abroad. Are you sure about this? This is something that you won, Sasha. It's okay, don't worry about it. Let me at least spoil you guys once in a while. Alright, well, thank you. I'm glad to see my parents be happy like that. I thought so, but... Huh? What's wrong, Dad? This ticket is valid only for the person who won the tickets and is non-transferable and you're not allowed to sell it, is what it says here. What? Does that mean I can't give this as a gift to you both?
Yeah, it seems so.
Oh, man. Haha. Ah, well, it can't be helped. Well, you did win it, honey, so why don't you go with Mike? Since my parents said so, I finally decided that I'd go with my husband. And when I came home from my parents' house that night, I found a woman's coat by the front door. This coat looked familiar. Yes, it was Bianca's coat. When I went to the living room, I saw Bianca watching the TV. Oh, Sasha, did you just get home? It's your day off, so what were you doing out so late at night? Oh, I'm sorry. I had no idea that you came here, Bianca. Oh, what are you trying to say? Is it wrong of me to come to my son's house? No, it's not. I think Bianca was a little kinder to me when my father-in-law was still alive, but ever since he passed away, she has been very strict and cold to me. Oh, what's this? What did you buy? Bianca seemed to have noticed the bag I had on my arm. In the bag was a guidebook for a trip to Guam that I bought on my way home. Oh, this is nothing. Just show it to me. Huh? Why? Just show it! And saying that, Bianca forcibly took the bag from me. Huh? Guam? Are you just trying to treat yourself? What are you doing with Mike's earnings? Huh? What the hell is she saying? I've never ever depended on Mike's earning like this before. I won a pair of travel tickets in a contest, so I thought I would go on the trip with my husband. Oh, really? Is that so? Wow, a prize, huh? Bianca suddenly changed her mood and got excited. I have a bad feeling about this. Then my husband came into the living room. Apparently, he was taking a bath.
Oh, Sasha, welcome back. I mean, what's wrong? I heard my mother's happy voice all the way from the bath.
Oh, Mikey, listen. Sasha won a trip to Guam in a contest.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So I decided to go with you, Mike, and I bought a guidebook for that too.
How many people can go on that trip?
It's a pair of travel tickets, so it would just be the two of us. My husband fell silent for a bit and looked over at Bianca's face. Bianca seems to suck up to my husband, showing her eyes widely like a dog waiting to be fed.
Okay, well then, I'm gonna go to the trip with my mom. You stay at home, okay?
Huh? I was just completely speechless. I had no idea that Mike was this much of a mama's boy. This is what I won from the contest, you know?
So what? We're a couple, so what's yours is mine, right? And what's mine is my mom's.
No, what kind of logic does he have? No way. Besides, you and Bianca just went on a trip just a few weeks ago.
This and that has nothing to do with each other.
Yes, that's right. Mike paid for that one, and besides, it was a domestic trip. I haven't been on an overseas trip in years. Wow, I'm so excited. She's already planning to go, huh? Hey, I didn't even agree to the fact that you both will be the ones going to the trip, you know. Besides, that ticket would be invalid if the winner won't be there. I was about to say so, but my husband says something outrageous, trying not to hear what I was about to say.
If you don't like it, then we'll get a divorce.
Excuse me?
I said, if you can't listen and obey to what I say, then we'll get a divorce.
I never thought he would say that. With these words, my affectionate feelings toward my husband instantly cooled down. I understand how it is. Do whatever you want.
Then why didn't you just say so quickly? You're just so selfish.
Both Mike and Bianca looked victorious, as if they had won a huge fight. Then, while reading the guidebook they had taken from me, they began to happily plan out their travel plans together. And I was beginning to think about my post-divorce plans. Later on, my husband told me to make sure I contacted the airline, so I did as I was told. But it was just a confirmation. I'm not allowed to give away these tickets to your own husband or other relatives even if I can't go, right? When I asked that, the operator replied,
I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to give away the tickets even to your family or your relatives.
Well, of course, that makes sense. Hearing that, I told the operator, well then, I would like to decline the airline tickets that I won in the contest, and hung up the phone. Then I told my husband, I called for you and here are the terms and conditions in the tickets, so please check the details. Then my husband scoffed as he said,
I don't have to read the terms and conditions,
and left the tickets on the shelf. It probably would never have occurred to him that those tickets were invalid. I reported this incident to my parents. I asked them to help me because I wanted to make the day of Mike and Bianca's trip the day I moved out from the house. After hearing what had happened, my father was shocked and said,
I never thought that Mike was such a person like that.
I mean, it was my father who brought up the idea of the arranged marriage with Mike, so that's why he was more shocked. It's not your fault, Dad. He just started to show who he really was recently, you know. I made my father try not to worry that it was his fault and calmed him down. On the day of the trip, my husband was in a great mood and was getting ready to leave. I was also looking forward to seeing how he and Bianca would react at the airport.
Well, I'm off then. Take care of the house while I'm gone.
Mike says so with a huge grin on his face. Yeah, have fun. My husband looked a little surprised as I saw him off with a huge smile on my face. Then, right after my husband left, my parents arrived to the house. They carried my belongings into the car and we went over to the new place I was going to move into. I had actually started looking for a room the moment I became fed up with my husband. I found a nice apartment near my office and decided to move into it immediately. I moved my belongings and got a comfortable and quiet room. About 2 hours later, my husband called me. Hello?
Oh, hey, what's going on? They said that our airline tickets are invalid.
Well, yes, that's right. If the winner doesn't accompany, then the tickets are invalid.
Huh? I didn't hear anything about that.
I told you, didn't I? I told you to check the terms and condition. It's all written right there.
You've got to be kidding me. I wouldn't even read that.
Well then, that's just your fault for not reading it, right? It's the same as someone who gets sued and says they didn't know anything about the law.
Then what am I supposed to do? I already got a hotel in Guam. They told me I'd have to pay for our own ticket fees.
Like I said, it's none of my business anymore, so you and Bianca should just take care of it. I said that and hung up the phone. Then 10 minutes later, my husband called again. What now?
Hey, why can't I pay with your card?
Huh? My card? What do you mean?
The card that you're using as a sub.
With panic, I checked the drawers and found out that my card, which I have been using as a sub, was gone. You took the card without my permission?
I was only borrowing it for a little while. But I was told by the airline staff that I can't use this card. What the hell is going on?
Are you stupid? If you're not the owner of the card, you can't use it.
But in the internet...
Huh? Internet?
Oh, no.
And he hanged up the phone. No way. I immediately checked my credit card statement for the credit card I used as a sub. Then I found a list of unknown statement that I had no recollection of using it. Then I remembered that my husband had been buying a lot of clothes and other things recently. He must have used my card to get those without my permission. I immediately stopped the card, and I took a screenshot of the statement history. With this, I will definitely charge him later. A few days later, I received a call from my husband after his 3 days and 2 nights trip to Guam.
Hey, what is the meaning of this? I don't see any of your stuff and belongings in our house anymore. And you left the divorce papers on the table. What the hell are you thinking?
Well, I mean what I mean. I can't go on living with a mama's boy like you who prioritizes his own mother and ignores his own wife. And to a thief like you using my credit card without any permission.
What?
If you won't sign the divorce papers, then let's fight over court.
Court?
Oh, are you in trouble?
If people at work finds out about this...
I see, then I'll request my divorce through my lawyer, so you better quietly obey to the request.
No way.
My husband reluctantly accepted the terms and agreed to the divorce. He agreed to divorce me on the condition that there would be no division of property and that he would also pay me for the credit card bills he used without my permission. But my revenge does not end there. I wouldn't say anything about what had happened, but I didn't know what my father, who had brought this marriage proposal to me, would do or say. And sure enough, my ex-husband called me.
Hey, this is not what we agreed on. Everyone at work knows about what happened. Now, they talk about me behind my back and I'm known as a mama's boy and a thief. And now, I can't walk with my head held high in my company.
Oh, what a pity. But I didn't say anything about any of this, you know. Did you forget that so many people were involved in our marriage?
Oh.
Yes, this marriage was set up through a connection between my father, who is a general manager of the department in a company, and my ex-husband's boss, who's a department head in his company. My father and my ex-husband's boss were great friends, and our blind date was set up from the fact that my ex-husband's boss had a good bachelor staff who was working under him. So this means that hearing what had happened, my ex-husband's boss was very angry with my ex-husband over this matter. It seems like Mike has been removed from the career track and is being looked at coldly by all the employees around him. As for Bianca, it seems that this incident was leaked out to her neighbors, and all the neighbors has started to avoid her too, so she now shuts herself inside the house. Well, they both got what they deserved, so I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. As for me, I put in a lot of effort at work and got a promotion. I got a raise in salary too, so to celebrate, I took my parents on an overseas trip. We went to Italy, which we all had wanted to go to for a long time, and made good memories as a family. A lot had happened this time, but I would like to use it as food for thought to find a good man and find a better love next time. I am surprised that he was not only a mama's boy, but also a thief. If it comes to that point, there's nothing anyone can do for him anymore. I'm glad Sasha's family got along well and finally got to go on a family vacation to Italy. I hope Sasha, who is kind and family-oriented, will find someone better and wonderful. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband orders me to do house chores, so my mother-in-law tells me to leave him and...
You forgot to make me my lunch. The wife should never slack off with her house chores. My ears hurt from his scorching scream. Huh? You forgot to make me my lunch, huh? The wife should never slack off with her house chores. Come again? You can hear what I'm saying. All I heard was you forgot to make me my lunch. The wife should never slack off with her house chores. That's all I heard. But I didn't hear what you said after that. Well, that's all I had to say. Oh, okay. Well, so? And then what? You forgot to make me my lunch. And you forgot what we talked about, didn't you? My name is Lisa, and I live with my husband, Paul, and our 2 children. My 3-year-olds are too energetic every day. We are blessed with twins. I consider it a miracle that they both turned 3 years old with no problems. I was raising 2 mischievous kids, and as every day was very busy and hectic, I always felt like physically I was about to fall apart. Maybe that's why I don't really remember how I managed to raise them until they were 3 years old. However, once they began to understand the words, they began to understand what I was saying. And now we spend a lot of time playing together. And I gradually began to feel more relaxed about raising our kids. My husband, Paul, is a company employee, and Paul's family runs a cake shop in our town's shopping district. Recently, I have been helping out at the cake shop with our kids. I began helping out in the hope that it would be of some help to Paul's parents, but now I find it quite enjoyable. When I first started, I mostly served customers, but recently I have been put in charge of making custard pudding under the guidance of my parents-in-laws, Jane and Phil. I am quite enjoying it and addicted to this job, but my husband, Paul, has no interest in his own parents' cake shop. He is just not at all interested in baking and eating cakes. Hey, are you sure you don't want to take over your parents' cake shop? You're talking about that again? There's no way I can take over the shop now. I haven't even had any training. Oh, so you're saying that you're willing to take over the business if you can get some training?
Ugh, that's not what I meant. I'm not going to take over the shop, no matter what anyone says. Because there's no future to it. You know that, right? The number of people visiting the shopping district is decreasing year by year. And because of that, recently, there are stores which are closing for good. And when I think that if I'm the cake shop owner, that's just impossible and unimaginable.
Why not?
Because it's embarrassing. Why would a grown man like me have a cake shop? I don't want to do that.
Well, it's true that there are stores which are closing for good. It is also true that the number of people in the shopping district is decreasing every year. I wonder if it's because of the large shopping mall which just recently opened nearby. But still, I think my parents-in-law's cake shop is doing quite well. Their weekday sales are not too bad, and especially their holiday sales are quite good. And above all, the cakes that Paul's parents make are very delicious. It is a shame to see that not many people get to have the taste of their delicious cakes. Even though I have thought about it a lot, the store will probably be gone someday, as there is no one to take it over. I felt very sad thinking about that. And my husband has zero interest in helping out his own parents at the cake shop. There is one place where Paul goes on his days off. Good morning. Are you going there again today? I call out to my husband, who has been rushing around in the morning getting ready for the day.
Oh, we're going for the big one today.
Well, he's in a good mood since this morning. Paul loves making bets through horse racing and boat racing. On his days off, he always goes to one or the other.
You. What? What's with that face?
What do you mean?
You're bringing down my morale. If I lose, it's all your fault.
Huh?
You know you should just let me do what I want on my own day offs. I'm working full-time on weekdays to feed you and the kids.
If he says that, then I have 0 days off having to deal with the twins, though. It is true that my husband's earnings keep our family running. But when we first got married, I intended to continue my job. But that's when Paul said,
I'll work so hard that you won't have to put in all the hard work. You'll just have to take care of the family.
I believed his words and devoted myself to taking care of the house, giving birth to our kids, and even raising the twins on my own. How dare he talks to me about doing what he wants to do on his day offs? Well, it's true I do help my husband's family business because I like it. And I accept that I am tired in my own way. But the fact that my husband is putting all his energy and money into what he only likes to do, that's not funny. Saying what he wanted to say, Paul left the house happily. And I take the twins and head to my in-laws' house. Lisa, thank you for coming in today too. Lisa, you really help us out a lot. As you can see, my mother-in-law Jane is a very kind person. And I'm so happy to see our adorable grandchildren. My father-in-law Phil is a quiet man, but he is smiling right next to Jane. I really wonder if Paul is actually their son. Jane always expresses her gratitude, but not once has my husband expressed his gratitude to me ever. Aside from my husband, I love both Jane and Phil. In fact, I think both Jane and Phil wants my husband to take over their cake shop. I could feel their hopes and sentiment from time to time. It's already enough that Lisa became our family to be Paul's wife. I'm really grateful. Jane would say this from time to time as if she was telling herself that. And Jane is such an understanding person who listens to me very carefully. Oh, Lisa, I'm sorry that Paul is being so selfish. Oh no, it's okay. Please don't worry so much. You know, Lisa, Paul is my son. but you have also become our daughter. If there's anything Paul's not doing right or he's being unfair, and if you're having a hard time, you can always talk to me about it. Thank you very much. Jane says this to me, but I couldn't really complain about her own son. I am really happy that she calls me her daughter, but I guess it is not pleasant for her to hear me say bad things about her own son, who is still related by blood. Like this, my relationship with my in-laws are good, but my relationship with my husband is not so good. My dissatisfaction towards my husband gradually built up. And then came December, one of the busiest seasons that comes twice a year for the cake shop. My in-laws and I discussed about how to proceed with December, and we decided that I would stay over at their place this year to help prepare the cakes. Hey, it's before Christmas, but I want to come in and help your parents with their cake shop, so I'll be staying at their place. Huh? You see, December is their busiest season. Yeah, so? What do you mean, so? It's not that easy with just the two of them at the shop, right? If I go and help out, we can finish preparing to make the cakes earlier, and they can get some rest too. Yeah, but why do you have to stay over? Why don't you just come back when you're finished for the day? You've seen how hard it is during the busy season since you were a kid, right? I can help out early in the morning and stay late at night if I stay overnight. No, that's fine, but that's something you can also do without having to stay the night over there. Do you want me to take the kids and travel early in the morning and late at night? Of course, that's impossible. Huh? They can already walk, though. They can walk, but then what? Listen. My husband sighed deliberately. What are you going to do about the house? Who's going to cook for my dinner? How old are you now? Huh? I'm asking, how old are you? Oh, yes, I'm 32. A 32-year-old man worrying about his dinner? No, I meant... Speak up. No, I'm fine. I'm sorry, I'll take care of it myself. You should go to my parents' place to help them out, Lisa, please. Okay, I see. Well then, that's that. On the appointed day, I went over to Phil and Jane's house. It was a good decision to go to their house on that day. There was a large pre-order for the whole Christmas cake and more orders for custard pudding than usual. We finished up the work in the evening and went to sleep in preparation for a full day of work tomorrow. Then, the next day, we started preparing from sunrise. While the twins were sleeping, I was working silently. In no time, we noticed that it was getting lighter outside. When the twins woke up, I decided to pause the work and have breakfast. When we finished breakfast, the twins were unusually quiet as they watched us work. I wonder if they understood that we were busy. After watching us work for a while, they played quietly in the entrance hallway, which we could see from the kitchen. Then, when we were about to take a lunch break, my phone rang. I got a call from Paul. Oh, I wonder what he wants. Hello? You forgot to make me my lunch. The wife should never slack off with her house chores. My ears hurt from his scorching scream. Huh? You forgot to make me my lunch, huh? The wife should never slack off with her house chores. Come again? You can hear what I'm saying. All I heard was, you forgot to make me my lunch. The wife should never slack off with her house chores. That's all I heard. But I didn't hear what you said after that. Well, that's all I had to say. Oh, okay. So, and then what? You forgot to make me my lunch. And you forgot what we talked about, didn't you? Do your chires properly. Huh? Why are you tripping over your own words? Just do your chores. Your chores. Oh, honey. Somebody is there with you, right?
No one's here.
What a liar. If you're pretending to be that bossy, then there must be a girl nearby. To that, my husband began to cough. You know, I know you're an old man trying to show the young girls how cool you are, but it's not working at all. See ya later, you old man who is so full of himself. Saying that, I hung up the phone. Well, I can't really say anything because I'm an old lady too, but oh well. Oh, crap! I was so irritated at Paul that I forgot the most important thing. Paul's parents are currently right behind me. Oh no, I can't believe I did that in front of them. I turned around to face them while trembling with fear. Then, Jane began to laugh out loud. Oh, how satisfying! Huh? Yep, I knew it. You're a good wife, Lisa. I was always worried that Paul was always harassing or abusing you. But Lisa, you've got it completely under control. I'm pretty competitive, you see. Hey, Lisa, why don't you just get rid of him? What? You were already fed up of him, weren't you? I've been married to Phil for a long time, so I can understand.
Huh? Honey, that's a bit...
Oh, I didn't mean to cause any misunderstanding. I love you, Phil.
Oh, phew. I was so surprised. And well, me too.
Aw, they're so close. I looked at them both while thinking that. I can tell, you know, that it's only natural for the wife of Paul to be fed up with him. I told you before, right? He is indeed our son, but you are also our daughter. So I don't want to see you being pushed around by him anymore. You know that when you look at your own kids, don't you? They don't really miss Paul, do they? My mother-in-law said, looking at the twins who were playing with each other at a short distance away. I'm so grateful to have met some really understanding people, let alone my parents-in-law. My eyes were welling up with tears. Everything became clear to me now. I decided to let out my feelings for my husband that I had been keeping bottled up. That day, I went home and waited for Paul to return back home. When he came home a few hours later, he was looking around the room.
Oh? Where are the kids?
Your parents are looking after them.
Oh, I see.
I need to talk to you.
Is it about what happened today?
I have decided to divorce you.
Huh? What are you saying all of a sudden? Are you mad because of what happened today? I have a position to keep in the company, you can understand that, right?
Every little bit counts. Huh? I'm divorcing you because of all the little annoying things that piled up in me about you has exploded. I have put up with you not helping me with anything until now. I have accepted you when you pressured me to quit the company, but I'm just so fed up with your attitude about trying to show off to other people. So, I am divorcing you. I've already decided with that decision. My husband's face was twitching while he heard what I had to say.
Wait a minute. What about the kids? Don't you think it's pitiful that they're still that little and don't have a father if you divorce me?
Don't you think they don't want a father who's just there? They don't even come near you and you don't recognize who is who, right?
You better stop joking around. Who the hell do you think I am?
An old man just trying to show off.
It's not a good idea to joke around at a time like this.
I'm quite serious though.
Show me a photo of the twins. I'll guess it right. And if I guess right, we won't get divorced and you and I will stay married.
Alright then, fine.
Then, show me a photo of them.
Get a photo from your phone.
Huh?
The photo of the twins on your phone. My husband freezes. You don't even have it, do you? The photo of the twins.
That's just a coincidence.
You're just an unfit father. You haven't taken a single photo of them in 3 years, and that's your answer, right? Besides, I know you're hiding something from me.
Huh?
You are, aren't you? What? How do you even know about that? Of course! My friends are still working for the same company as you. Come on then, say it yourself. If I say it, then will you reconsider the divorce? Then no. No thank you. I'll say it myself. I heard that you were demoted and had your salary reduced for sexually harassing a new employee. You hide the truth and spend your days off at the horse races and boat races. What a great life you're living, huh? My kids don't want a father who was demoted for sexual harassment. Well then, call me when you sign the divorce papers.
I am so sorry.
My husband was on his knees crying, but I went through with it and left the house. Well, it also felt good that my knee hit my husband's head as I was leaving. When I returned to Jane and Phil's house, they welcomed me with a victory sign. And when I told them about Phil's sexual harassment incident, they were beyond stunned and filled with anger. When my husband followed me, Jane threw a holly ornament at him, telling him not to ever come back. Holly is to ward off evil at Christmas, you know. I love this part about Jane. After that, Paul seemed to be shocked by what was thrown at him, so he signed the divorce papers and put them in the mailbox. With this, my husband and I were divorced. My friends who know about this divorce incident have told me to get child support, but I haven't done so to this day. This is what I intended to do. I am going to raise my sons without getting any penny from him. I know him. Even if I claim for it, he's just going to argue back saying,
I raised them too.
I don't even want to get any help from that guy. And now, I am living with Phil and Jane, and that's because I'm going into training. They said they want me to manage and take over the cake shop in the not-so-distant future. In order to respond to their wishes, I have asked them to help me raise the twins as I will undergo the training. Even now, my sons never once talk about their father and they are full of energy. My life is going to be fun from now on. I am glad that Lisa was able to get a divorce before the twins got hurt even more. I guess a bond can be built even if there is no blood connection. I hope everyone in the cake shop is smiling. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video. I was having lunch with my mother-in-law while my husband was away on his business trip when I received a call from him.
Something serious has happened. Actually, my mom collapsed.
What? I looked up. My mother-in-law, who was in front of me, also widened her eyes.
So, you know the route back from my business trip passes by my parents' house, right? I'm going to go straight to my parents' house to take care of my mom.
I looked at my mother-in-law again. She placed a finger on her lips. It meant for me to keep silent about our lunch. Understanding her intention, I decided to align my story with what my husband told me. Is your mom okay? Should I come too?
It's okay. I'll share something with you since we're on the topic, but my mom isn't too fond of you, calling you a disobedient daughter-in-law. So, you don't have to come.
Okay, I get it. And so my husband's call ended. By this point, I had already realized my husband is clearly lying. The reason must be something he couldn't tell me. As I clenched my fists and trembled, my mother-in-law told me, "Well, what should we do from here?" My name is Megan Miller, and I'm 30 years old. I'm a part-time housewife in the second year of marriage. My job is freelance writing from home. I'm what you might call a writer. I specialize in writing travel-related articles, drawing on my experience working at a travel agency during my single days. I met my husband, Ryan Miller, through a college friend named Kirk. Kirk introduced us, and later he also introduced me to one of Ryan's colleagues. Ryan worked in a typical position at a small to medium-sized company, and other than his somewhat handsome appearance, he was a rather ordinary person. We dated without any issues for about 2 years. And then I was proposed to on my birthday, and I joyfully accepted. We visited my parents to give our greetings and seek their permission for the marriage. The next step was going to Ryan's parents' house. His parents had already divorced, and his father had moved overseas, so only his mother remained at their family home. I had heard that Ryan's mother was a self-made businesswoman who had started her own company, so I was initially excited and nervous about meeting her. "Nice to meet you. I'm Megan, and I've been working with Ryan." Upon my introduction, my mother-in-law exclaimed,
"I've been looking forward to meeting you. Please come in, come in."
She had a youthful and straightforward aura with her short haircut. I nervously took a seat next to Ryan.
"Mom, I'm thinking of marrying her."
"Well, if it's a decision you two made together, I won't oppose it."
"Congratulations."
With a smiling face, my mother-in-law conveyed this, and I felt relieved. During the subsequent conversation, the topic shifted to my job.
"Megan, what kind of work do you do?"
"I'm a freelance writer. Most of the time, I'm at home, working on my computer." When I responded, my mother-in-law's face quickly clouded over.
"A writer working from home? Is that job stable?"
"Huh?"
"I mean, it seems more like a pastime. Your income must be unstable."
"It's not like that. I consider it a respectable job." However, my mother-in-law maintained her difficult expression.
"But still, having a stable job like a regular employee would be better."
"I find fulfillment in my current job." At that point, Ryan intervened.
"Well, how about we leave it at that for now?"
The tension eased momentarily, but my mother-in-law kept her brows furrowed. While my mother-in-law didn't oppose our marriage, she didn't show understanding toward my job. Nevertheless, our new home and my in-laws' place were about 2 hours apart. I thought we would have minimal interaction with my mother-in-law in our daily lives, so we went ahead and got married. The wedding went well. Even Kirk, who played a crucial role in our meeting, gave a speech and praised us. And so, life with Ryan began. In the first year of marriage, he also helped with household chores, and I think it was a happy, newlywed life. However, around the second year of marriage, Ryan started claiming that work was getting busier, and he began coming home late. Nevertheless, without any suspicion, I supported him during his busy times. While I occasionally encounter my mother-in-law, she consistently advised,
"Get a stable job as a regular employee, or get some qualifications."
Feeling tired of my mother-in-law's repeated comments, one day I confided in Ryan. "Ryan, I'm not fond of your mother. She is critical of my work and—"
"Well, my mom is quite old-fashioned. You don't have to force yourself to get along."
"If you say that, it's a relief." He never tried to force a friendship between me and my mother-in-law or make me comply with her demands. That was something I appreciated. Then one day, while working at home, my phone rang. The caller was my mother-in-law, whom I hadn't spoken to in a while. For a moment, I hesitated to answer, but I couldn't ignore it, so I picked up the phone. "Hello, Mom. What can I do for you?"
"Megan, I wanted to talk to you about your work today."
"Mom, please stop.
It's not that. I want to apologize to you."
"Huh?" Upon listening, it turned out that my mother-in-law had come across an article I had written in a travel magazine by chance. She found out that I was a well-known writer contributing to several magazines.
"I read your articles, and they were wonderful pieces of writing."
"Oh, thank you."
"I'm sorry. Maybe I've looked down on the job of being a writer until now, but I realized how capable you are and felt ashamed of myself. I truly apologize."
"Mom." I was surprised by my mother-in-law's apology, but I was also pleased. Except for the fact that she opposed my work, I had no ill feelings about my mother-in-law's character. In fact, I even respected her. The barriers between us seemed to melt away, and I felt happy about it.
So, it's not exactly an apology, but I'll be heading your way soon. How about letting me treat you to lunch?
Huh? Lunch?
If you don't want to, feel free to decline. But I'd also like to hear more about your work.
No, Mom. I'd be delighted. Please, let me join you. And so 3 days later, my mother-in-law and I arranged to have lunch at a restaurant in my town. I wanted to share this with Ryan, but he was still busy with work and had to leave for a business trip the next morning. I wonder how Ryan would react if he knew I was having a friendly lunch with his mother while he's away on a business trip. I'm sure he'd be happy. During that time, I was casually thinking about things like that. On the day of the lunch with my mother-in-law, I dressed up since we were meeting at a high-end restaurant.
Megan, over here.
My mother-in-law waved and apologized to me again with a smile.
I'm sorry for saying various things about your work.
It's okay, Mom. Let's enjoy today together.
I'm glad you say that. Eat anything you like.
As expected of a female president. Let's indulge in something I don't usually eat.
Well, Megan, you're such a fun person.
My mother-in-law and I exchanged smiles and headed to the restaurant. While having lunch and talking with my mother-in-law, I began to see her positive qualities that I hadn't noticed before. I developed a sense of respect for my strong yet kind mother-in-law. After my mother-in-law shared her divorce story, she said,
"When I got divorced, having a job saved me. I realized the importance of money and work. The experience taught me how crucial it is for women to work."
Mom, is that why you recommended a regular job to me?
Yes, I didn't want you to struggle even if something happened. But Megan, you're doing a splendid job.
I'm glad you understand. I'll work hard to become like you, Mom. In the next moment, my phone rang. It was Ryan. Oh, it's Ryan. I wonder what's going on. Ryan, you're on a business trip, right? Yes, I'll put it on speaker so that you can hear Mom too. I put the phone on speaker and placed it on the table as I answered the call. Then Ryan's voice could be heard.
Megan? Hey, something serious happened.
Aren't you on a business trip right now?
Well, the trip went fine, but something difficult occurred. Actually, my mom collapsed.
What? I looked up. My mother-in-law in front of me also widened her eyes.
So, my return route from the business trip passes by my parents' house, you know? I plan to go home directly to take care of my mom.
I looked at my mother-in-law again. She put her index finger to her lips. She seemed to be indicating to keep quiet about our relationship. Understanding her intention, I decided to align my story with Ryan's. Is your mom okay? Should I come too?
No, it's fine. You don't get along with my mom, right?
But...
It's okay. I'll share something with you since we're on the topic, but my mom isn't too fond of you, calling you a disobedient daughter-in-law. So, no need to come.
I understand.
Alright, I'll hang up now.
Ryan's call ended like this. By that time, I had already realized. He was clearly lying. The reason must be something he couldn't tell me. Could it be an affair? Tightening my fist, trembling, I was about to speak when my mother-in-law interrupted.
So, Megan, what should we do now?
Mom, this is probably what I think it is, isn't it?
Unfortunately, seems like you're not wrong. There's likely another woman. But don't worry, Megan, I'm on your side.
Empowered by my mother-in-law's strong words, I was ready to uncover the truth. Afterward, my mother-in-law and I devised a plan.
First, I think it's a good idea to check with the company.
Upon my mother-in-law's suggestion, I remembered Kirk, a mutual friend who works at Ryan's company. When I messaged Kirk that I wanted to talk, he replied,
I can meet you after work today.
So my mother-in-law and I went to the designated pub together. Kirk was surprised that my mother-in-law was with me, but when we told him everything, he finally opened up.
This is what I found out after checking with Ryan's department. He didn't mention a business trip. Instead, he's taken paid leave.
So, he was lying after all.
This is something I've been hesitating to tell you, Megan.
Kirk looked back and forth at my mother-in-law and me. When my mother-in-law urged him to speak, Kirk seemed to have made up his mind.
Actually, it seems Ryan's subordinate, Michelle, is quite close to him. She also took paid leave at the same time, this time.
His subordinate?
Oh, and there are pictures like this circulating around the company.
Kirk showed me his smartphone. The photo displayed Ryan and a young woman walking in the hotel district. Thank you. May I have a copy of this photo?
Of course. I'm sorry, Megan. I've been feeling responsible since I introduced him. That's why I couldn't bring myself to say it until now.
Kirk, you're not to blame. By the way, do you know the address of that woman Ryan is involved with?
I'm not sure, but there was a female colleague she was close to. I'll ask her for the address.
At that moment, Kirk contacted his colleague, who informed us that the woman, Michelle, lived in an apartment near the next station. Thank you, Kirk. You've been a great help. After Kirk and I parted ways, my mother-in-law apologized deeply to me.
Megan, I'm truly sorry on behalf of my son.
It's okay, Mom. It's not your fault. I'll confront him with this evidence. I'll make him take responsibility, and the other woman too.
Wait, Megan. With just this photo, he might deny anything beyond walking together. We need more solid evidence. Leave it to me.
Saying that, my mother-in-law made a call to a nearby detective agency. Surprisingly, my mother-in-law was willing to spend money to obtain decisive evidence. The detective agency she contacted was well known for conducting thorough investigations.
Megan, please ask him when he will be back.
Sure. Let me send a message. Oh, I got a reply. I'll be back the day after tomorrow. Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law nodded at me. 2 days later, when I was at home, Ryan returned.
I'm home.
Welcome back. How is Mom doing?
Oh, she has calmed down quite a bit. It seems I'll need to come back home more often from now on.
It must be tough.
She feels reassured when I'm around.
Just as Ryan mentioned that, the door of the adjacent room slammed open.
Who feels reassured with you around? Huh? Mom?
Ryan was so surprised that his legs almost gave away. Approaching with my mother-in-law, the two of us leaned in together.
Wait, what's going on? Why is Mom here? You were supposed to be on bad terms.
Too bad, we reconciled.
Megan and I were having lunch when she received a call saying I had collapsed, so I was surprised. That's...
As Ryan's face turned pale, I told him, "What have you been doing for the past few days?" Ryan, still pale, remained silent. Thinking the truth wouldn't come out easily, I finally said, "The business trip was a lie, and you were on a cheating trip with Michelle, right?"
What? Michelle who?
I confronted Ryan with a snapshot from Kirk of them walking in the hotel district. Ryan, turning pale, predictably said something like this.
This was just a coincidence. I happened to pass by instead of going to a drinking party. There's nothing between her and me. It's just a regular boss-subordinate relationship.
Oh, really? Then what about this? I confronted him with another photo. In this one, Ryan was clearly leaving Michelle's house and kissing her at the doorstep.
What is this?
After cheating on me by pretending to go on a business trip, you lied to me and spent time at your fair partner's house, right? These photos were obtained by my mother hiring a detective agency.
What? My mom did this?
Seeing the unbelieving expression on Ryan's face, my mother-in-law suddenly slapped him.
You idiot son. Doing something like this while having such a good wife? Have you forgotten the reason for my divorce from your father? It was because of his affair, right? You're just like him, going for the same disgraceful path. Mom, I once talked to you about inheriting my company, right? I'm canceling that. And not just that, I'm cutting off our relationship. Be prepared for that. This can't be.
Seemingly realizing there was no escape, Ryan slumped beside me.
Megan, this was just a momentary lapse. Please forgive me. I'll be a better husband from now on.
At that moment, I cut him off with a stern voice. Don't be ridiculous. Don't say pleasant things after lying and betraying me. We're getting a divorce. I'll be claiming a generous settlement for the infidelity damages. Unable to say anything more, Ryan, who was now whimpering, was driven out of the house by my mother-in-law. Later on, the divorce between Ryan and me was finalized. My mother-in-law, acting as my attorney, managed to secure a settlement higher than the market average. I also claimed a settlement from the affair partner. The incident led to the final breakup between Ryan and Michelle. Afterward, my mother-in-law generously provided me with a significant amount of money as compensation. My mother-in-law was unforgiving. Ryan's job seemed to be a result of his mother-in-law's connections, and she conveyed to the company's president to fire her son. Due to his involvement with a subordinate and disrupting the workplace atmosphere, Ryan was dismissed from the company. Ryan has saved up enough money to pay my alimony, and his mother-in-law gave up on him. He now lives in a rundown apartment and works day and night as a day laborer. Even knowing that, I have no sympathy whatsoever. I just think, serves him right. I, on the other hand, moved to a new place with the alimony money, and I continue to work as a writer as usual. My relationship with my mother-in-law is such that we address each other by our first names. We occasionally go on trips together, and there still seems to be a lot to learn from her. I will cherish my good relationship with my mother-in-law and continue to live life positively from now on.